For 3,000 cycles, the Galactic Council had believed itself untouchable. Empires rose and fell beneath its vast shadow. Species united under its banner, and fleets larger than continents guarded the known stars. The elders, ancient beings of immense wisdom, had guided them through eras of chaos. But even the Council's arrogance could not silence the whisper that haunted their meetings. Humans. The elders had warned about them long ago. They spoke of a race from a blue world far beyond the old roots, a race that should never be provoked. The records were old and fragmented, found in derelict archives from the first expansion. The elders remembered what happened when explorers once reached that distant system. None returned, but time dulled fear. The younger generations of the Council saw only myths in those warnings. They called the stories exaggerations, relics of frightened minds. And when the frontier scouts reported a small human colony expanding beyond its native system, the Council voted unanimously to bring them under control. It began with a blockade. The Seventh Fleet, pride of the Council Navy, surrounded the human trade stations near the edge of their territory. They expected surrender within hours. Instead, silence. Then one transmission, brief, calm, and almost amused. "Leave our borders." The admiral of the Seventh Fleet laughed when the message played in the chamber. "They don't even have proper cruisers," he scoffed. "Primitive engines, old particle cannons, no jump capability beyond 3 sectors." He ordered the assault. The first attack lasted 12 seconds. The human outpost vanished in a flash of plasma fire, its defense satellites torn apart. The admiral celebrated. Then his sensors screamed. Something massive emerged from the dark between systems. A human warship. It dwarfed anything in the fleet, built from dense alloys the scanners couldn't identify. No markings, no call sign. Only one symbol glowed on its hull, a circle crossed by a vertical line. The warship didn't open fire immediately. It waited as if watching. The admiral ordered all guns to bear. Before his command finished transmitting, the warship moved. It accelerated faster than physics allowed. Beams of white light lanced through the fleet, slicing ships apart with surgical precision. Missiles vanished before reaching its hull. The Seventh Fleet, with over 200 ships, ceased to exist in less than a minute. When the Council received the black box recordings, the chamber fell silent. The elders watched in sorrow. "They warned you," one of them said quietly. "They told you not to awaken them." The younger counselors still refused to believe. "It must be a trick," they argued. "A prototype. One vessel does not make a civilization unstoppable." So they sent more fleets. Each one vanished. The human response was always the same: swift, exact, without waste. No threats, no communication, no declarations of war. Just silence, followed by annihilation. Soon the border systems went dark. Stations vanished. Patrol routes ended in static. Refugee vessels fled across hyperspace, their hulls scorched. Crews whispering of ghost ships that moved like shadows. The Council finally demanded a conference. The elders appeared in holographic form, ancient and pale. Their voices echoed softly through the chamber. "You have broken the seal," one said. "The humans do not conquer. They retaliate." The young leaders protested. "We are the most powerful alliance in history." "They are few. We will overwhelm them." The elders looked at one another. "You will not." But arrogance was louder than wisdom. The Council declared a full-scale war. 1,000 ships formed the Grand Armada, drawn from every member world. Battleships bristling with weapons, carriers holding legions of drones, dreadnoughts with power enough to scorch planets. They advanced toward human space, confident that numbers would bring victory. When they arrived, they found nothing. No human colonies, no stations, no signals. Just the cold emptiness of the void. Then the stars flickered. At first they thought it was sensor interference. Then they realized the flicker was movement. The void itself rippled, and human ships appeared all around them, not one or two, but hundreds. They had been there all along, hidden in stealth fields beyond comprehension. A single human transmission cut across the channels. "You were warned." Then came the storm. Human ships fought like no one had seen before. They didn't form lines or formations. They danced through the chaos, each moving with purpose. Their weapons were precise, their defenses layered, their coordination beyond any machine or command link. It was as if the fleet fought with one mind. The Council's armada broke within hours. Entire dreadnoughts imploded under kinetic strikes that ignored shields. Drone clouds vanished under invisible countermeasures. Warp drives overloaded without warning. The survivors fled. The Council worlds went silent. Communication lines cut by unknown means. It was not invasion, it was isolation. The humans didn't occupy territory or raise banners. They simply erased anything that threatened them. The younger counselors demanded answers. How can they fight like this? How do they know our every move? The elders answered at last, because they have seen this war before. The chamber erupted with disbelief. The elders explained, thousands of cycles ago, when the first council ships explored beyond the old rim, they found ruins on countless worlds. Vast cities turned to ash. They thought it was the work of ancient wars between forgotten empires. But those ruins were not alien. They were human. Humans have risen and fallen before, the elders said. Their civilization burned itself across the stars long before we existed. And every time they fell, they built themselves again, stronger, smarter, harder to kill. The council refused to accept it, but the evidence grew undeniable. Captured human drones showed technology that defied logic, weapon systems compact yet devastating, engines that folded space itself, and armor built from molecular lattices that adapted to damage. Every piece of human design was efficient, brutal, elegant in its simplicity, and their strategy, the terrifying precision with which they struck, was no accident. It was experience. Humans remembered the mistakes of every war they ever fought. They had learned from every enemy they had faced. Soon the council began losing more than ships. Trade collapsed. Worlds went dark. Entire species begged for truce, but the humans never responded. The war was one-sided. The humans did not seek negotiation. They sought finality. Then one day the humans spoke again, a single transmission broadcast across every known channel. The voice was calm, steady, and unmistakably human. 3,000 years ago, your ancestors attacked us. You called it an exploration. We called it invasion. We forgave once. Not again. The message ended. Panic swept through the council. Civilizations that had stood united for ages began fracturing. Some fled to deep space. Others surrendered before a single shot reached their borders. The elders remained silent, their sorrow deep as the void. The last council fleet, composed of desperate remnants, gathered near the core systems. They hoped to defend what remained of their civilization. Their admiral stood before the fleet, trembling but resolute. They are just one species, he told his officers. They bleed as we do. But when the human fleet arrived, even courage crumbled. The human ships filled the sky, each one a monument of dark steel and light. The air itself seemed to tremble as they descended. The council fired every weapon they had, unleashed every experimental system. None of it mattered. Human technology bent space, redirected energy, and turned destruction back upon its source. When the final council ship fell, there was no cheer from the humans. No gloating. Only silence. In the aftermath, the survivors were gathered on their homeworlds. Human vessels hovered above them, watching but not attacking. Then the humans transmitted one final message: we do not rule, we do not conquer, we endure. Remember that. And just as swiftly as they had appeared, the human fleets vanished into the void. Centuries later, the ruins of the council stood as monuments to hubris. The younger races that emerged afterward studied the fragments of the old archives. They read about the elders who had once warned of humanity, and how no one listened. In time, explorers found faint trails of human ships near the galactic rim, always moving outward, never lingering. They seemed to seek something beyond even the stars themselves. None dared follow. Among the ruins of the old council chamber, one surviving elder wandered the halls, his form frail but his eyes still bright. He touched the cracked walls, whispering softly to the empty air. "They told you," he murmured. "They warned you. The humans are unstoppable, not because of power, but because of will." He looked up at the night sky through a shattered dome, watching distant lights blink in the void. "Where others see the end," he said, "they see the beginning." And far beyond that ruined world, human ships sailed on, quiet, relentless, eternal. They did not seek glory or vengeance. They sought survival, the one truth they had always understood. For in every war, every extinction, every end of an age, one race always endured: humanity. And the galaxy finally understood what the elders had tried to say all along. Humans were not unstoppable because of their weapons, or their technology, or their numbers. They were unstoppable because no force in the universe could make them give up. The stars themselves could fade, the galaxies could drift apart. But as long as there was even one human left to fight, to build, to dream, humanity would rise again. The elders had been right. No one had listened. Now everyone did.